Okay, so welcome everyone who is joining us today. Those who are over 50 and everyone else who is interested to know more about this Wize generation. This special online conversation is hosted by the Wize Move Society, the online community for everyone who is over 50 and all those who would love to join us. During our last summit, Boomer or Bloomer, what's next in April, we experienced again that this generation is growing by the day. We're living longer, are longer healthy and active, and are better educated than ever. This generation is not on their way out and are definitely part of the future. It was again a huge wake-up call that this generation will impact in many ways our society, our economy, the workplace, our healthcare system, and so much more in the years to come. So with these Tuesday live conversations, we aim to give you a glimpse of what is happening online on the Wize Move Society, to share a bit about both the challenges and the opportunities that the over 50 are facing, as well as how the members of the Wize Move Society work together to create the solutions and play an active role in society and the economy. For those who join us on Zoom, welcome. We love you to contribute to the conversation. Tatiana and myself, we will start asking some questions to James, and please jump in when we're ready. So my name is Ingun. I'm the founder of Moving to the Future and the creator of the Wize Move Society. I'm here today with, every week, my co-host, Dr. Tatiana, Rowson, and our guest, James Kinuthia. James is a pioneer creating the first dementia rescue and learning center. We will learn much about his work as a social entrepreneur who is breaking barriers in Africa and absolutely dealing with one of a big issue of a grower older population. We will talk with him about his groundbreaking work of building a center for people with dementia in Kenya. So before we do that, I would like to give my co-host Tatiana the floor so she can share a bit more about her background, and she will pass on the stage to James. So Tatiana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ingun. Hello, everyone that's with us here on Facebook. I'm Tatiana Rowson. I'm an academic, I'm a psychologist, and I research life in midlife and beyond. I'm particularly interested on how can we improve our aging and our experiences so we can get more out of longevity. And I'm delighted James is joining us. We've been talking a lot about work and entrepreneurship in the past few weeks, but I think it's about time we talk about caring as well. This is a big task we have. And it's a responsibility as society that we have to care for our older members of our community. And dementia, as Ingun says, one of these words that scare people just at the first sight. But I think there's much more that we can do. And I'm not going to say any more, James, because the expert here today, it's you. So I would like to welcome you to the conversation and let you talk a bit more about what you do.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. And I thank Wize Move Society for getting us to this level whereby we can share what we are doing within our communities. For me, I'm James Kinuthia, and I'm a master practitioner for Spark of Life at SJ Remedial Homes in Nairobi, Kenya. Dementia has been an issue for many years, and the prevalences are going to be high as we age. And also we have the general aging population, which need to age well and healthy, actively, and all that comes with it. The facilities that we are running oriented in general care as pioneers in this program. We have to engage everyone, but focusing more on dementia. because dementia has been an issue in the society, people living with dementia being abused and misunderstood. We have been working on this program for the last 9 years. It was a pilot project, setting up a facility. But now 5 years and above, it seems to work, and the community is embracing it immensely. And they're now coming out and able to talk about dementia, whereas before then, people could not talk about it. They thought maybe it was because of witchcraft and other things, misconceptions, and myths were carrying the day. But at least now we are able to tell people what to do in a particular stage that they go through. So there is hope.
Thank you, James. And well, we have been talking already, the two of us, about this, your project last week. And before we dive into what exactly you are doing there and in what way, because that is very important, of course, is can you give us an idea of how big this issue, this challenge is in Kenya, and maybe even also in the other African or on the African continent, so that we have an idea of what is the challenge and what is being done so far?
I would say the challenge is bigger than anyone could think because of the fast aging population. You find, despite now focusing more on people with dementia, wanting them to live well, there is a challenge. It might be even a crisis soon. Because if these facilities of learning and awareness programs are not put in place, either through like-minded organizations, governments, and also international communities, then globally we might have a crisis. So I think it's across board that everyone should do their part to make sure people who are aging are healthy, active, and they are living in the proper conditions.
Mm-hmm. Next question, and then I will give the floor to Tatiana. You told me last time you're 40 years old. So you started this project when you were 31. That is, you were concerned and you already saw that this was an issue that needed attention. So what is your own personal story why you started this initiative?
As a career person in the medical world, we used to have challenges when we are running our home care program, because you find most people are left in their houses and maybe they are bachelors, others single mothers, but the robust economy and people being educated more and movement of population, you find these elders are left behind without proper management, despite being in their nice houses. So I realized there was this gap in the community, and I decided to come up with this initiative in my own village, which actually, amazingly, but I knew there was need, but culturally is quite challenging to start such a thing. It's also very expensive, but I've been lucky to get this far. So yes, it has been a journey.
I can imagine, absolutely, and a wonderful journey, and I applaud you for doing this. Tatiana, I'm giving the floor to you, and of course, Mary Jane and Monica, who joined us on Zoom, get your questions ready to dive into the conversations with us. But Tatiana.
Thank you. James, it's interesting you're talking about the challenge and the crisis of offering conditions of life and care for people as they age in Kenya. In people's imagination, Africa, and I come from Brazil, we have the same imagination in terms of Brazil, is a young country. But the figures don't match that, because we can see that the population is aging much faster than in Europe, than in Japan, they're old countries. So do you see that as one of these crises? Because people think everyone is young in African countries, in the continent, and the reality is no, there's a growing, aging population that needs to be looked after. What is your experience on the ground, James?
Especially if I talk about the sub-Saharan region, Africa and Africa as a whole, we have difficulties because, as I said earlier, we have even the UN decade campaign for healthy aging, and this would bring about now bringing things to do with the data, because it's huge. I mean, the numbers are huge, and I know that it could be global, but here in Africa, we have so many people who would be aging by 2050. It might look a little bit like, as you said, everyone is young, but I generally think about myself where I'll be sometimes. And you find our age, people who are in their 40s, there are so many all over the place. It's not like some years, like 40 years before. So it's something that needs to be campaigned for, and especially for those who are even more vulnerable.
It's interesting, James. You touched as well on something that I find very important to talk about, which is the idea of the children looking after their own parents. But with economy, with everyone moving to big cities and so on, I'm sure that's a big challenge as well, how to bridge this gap, what younger people want to do, and how to care for their relatives if it's not in their culture to hire or to have a different system that's not the family.
Yes, to add on that is that that's why I think Wize Move Society is focusing more on, because really everyone, you cannot stay in the village anymore. The economies are changing, and people have to go and work. You find very young people here who you have saved from being stuck in their houses with their grandmas when they have just graduated and they don't know what to do. They don't have the skills even to take care of them, even if they are suffering from a difficult ordeals like dementia. So you find these young people stuck in their houses, and these centers of learning, it's a hub of giving them hope, and they have a connection, and they can be able to talk about it. And if they have to bring their loved one to the facilities to live there, it's an intervention, and they are not stuck. So I mean, young people have to go and work sometimes, despite loving our loved ones so much and we want to care for them. It means a lot. It's a huge decision to make, but you find so many people have to make it.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, maybe Tatiana, I'll ask my next question, because what we've been talking last time also, how are you paying for this whole project, and how is this working, you know? And that's also what I liked about the whole way that you have set up this program, this care facilities, because of course you would expect families to pay, but most of them cannot afford. So you did develop that well, to something to make it very sustainable and not depend on the government who is going to pay or the families who are not able to pay, but you make it sustainable. So I'd love to hear more about that. And that is probably also what you mean with the spark of life model of care.
Yes. Starting a program like this it's never easy. But we had to pull our strings together and focus, and the energies that we had, and the thinking about the innovations and things that need to be done for a country. This program, the platform was to do it in the grassroots level, so that we can reach out to those people who may be middle class, and even people who are really cannot afford even food in a particular day. And setting up there had to make us think, or make me think, how do I now sustain? How do I finance? And we came up with programs like caregivers training. We had, once we trained them, we could set them home to people's houses. And especially you find wealthy people who can afford to pay such services. So they could give us the jobs to do that, and then we could fund the facility. Before we broke even, after 2 years, that's when we broke even to be able to sustain the facility well. Mm-hmm. But also hiring out equipments. We could get equipment donated sometimes to us, or we buy with minimal price from people who just keeping them in the stores. Then we can hire them out, and that was another avenue for money. Another thing is encouraging the families, bringing them together so that those ones who are able to afford, they can chip in. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of, it's complex. Because as you are aware also, every economy is going, it's difficult all over. So you cannot keep borrowing money all over the place, but you have to learn how to sustain by yourself. But that doesn't mean that people cannot help, because we need more facilities. People can set up more facilities. Maybe we can help them through this model.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And of course, that next step is that the government is becoming aware that this really is an issue to look after and to look into, and maybe play a more active role.
Exactly. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, and also having adopted the Spark of Life model of care, model of care initiated by Dementia Care International. Our international communities or organizations who are very friendly to these programs have been very supportive. And Spark of Life is something that we looked at and said is a good thing for the community, because people living with dementia find themselves misunderstood. in the communities due to uncharacteristic behaviors. Behaviors that people would associate them, and they will label them, they isolate them, and there again, they get depressed, they get more dependent, and things get worse. But with the spark of life, you can see in these people's eyes when you meet them, there is no spark. The spark is dwindling. And that's a sign that they're not really enjoying life like anybody else. So with compassion, which comes with the spark of life, genuine love, empathy, will show when we connect with them, with these people, it will show in our eyes. And they tend to have the will to live again. At least there is hope. Even the families feel there is hope. It's like what we would say, something comes up in your life and you feel, wow, this is something good, and you want to live again. So our philosophy for Spark of Life is to ensure that we offer care based on love, which is genuine love, connect heart to heart with the person who is receiving the care, and being empathetic, putting ourselves in their shoes. How someone would like you to do to them is what you do to them. So we don't segregate them, we don't judge them. We take things as they are, and then we show love, and then they keep going and they can smile again.
I love that. We need to smile again. They need to smile again. Wonderful. Tatiana, Mary Jane, Monica is online. Who do I give the floor?
I guess one quick question, maybe I think it's quick in any case, but you mentioned that you don't segregate them. And that's something that tweaked with me, that because it's typical of what we do here. We do segregate those with dementia from a general population in a nursing home. You know, they're on a locked ward. They don't have the code to get out. They can only go out if they're accompanied, etc. But you don't segregate them. And with very few exceptions here, that's not the case. Okay, can you share a little bit about that aspect?
Yes, when it comes to segregating, it's generally would consider environmental factors more, because even if you have the skills to do all that and then you don't have the environmental advantage, sometimes, and that's why most probably I say it's good to have these care facilities in the village, in the outskirts of cities, because then again, you are able to exploit their potentials. Like if you have a big garden, they can go and help there. If you have an activity like group activities like exercises, they can go outside, not just within their common room, and they can go and do those activities where there is space. Also integrating some factors, like there is the intergenerational programs which we run, whereby young people, volunteers, they would come and visit families, birthday parties, and other events that we hold, that they bring them closer to the normal society level.
Wonderful. And Ingun, I'm not sure, Tatiana, if you have anything like this, but I know that somewhere in Amsterdam or north of Amsterdam, there is a home, a community actually has been built for people with dementia, and they've got shops, etc. But they are still safe. So safety is a big factor. But it sounds very much like this, you know, that there are communal rooms. I mean, they're not stuck in their room or in a hallway, they are able to go out, they can visit with people, etc. And but I think it's few and far between. I know of one here, and I know that in Canada, somebody that I know personally in British Columbia is setting up, based on the concept here from the one that he visited in Amsterdam, is setting up something similar on the west coast of Canada. But this is highly unusual, you know. It's typically very structured and very, very segregated, you know, from the rest of the community. Mm-hmm. So hats off. I love this idea. Yeah.
Thank you.
It is very interesting, Mary-Jane. I agree with you. What often we see is a much more constrained environment, rather than that kind of freedom. So, James, tell us a bit about what do the patients or the people you care for, how is it for them? I know it's difficult to say a typical day because everyone is different, but just to give a glimpse for anyone that doesn't quite understand, how is it like? How is it that care and that connection takes place in a, I would say a typical day is a
well, I think our typical day would generally a very short day for us, because we generally, everyone has their own way of living, as you have said, but we try so much to ensure that they come to a particular acceptance that the day has started, and you need breakfast, you need so always we would encourage them to get involved, like you'd give in the morning, you need to give something appetizing. You need to start the day with a smile, not being gloomy, because that connection alone will give will take the order of the other things that will come along. So the day, starting the day is quite important, and ending the day, we have measures, because with the spark of life, we are able to measure, like most people would say, this person gets once in the afternoon. So that's the cozy time. We generally call it bedtime. That's when we invite them for very nice cup of tea. Then all these things to do with a lot of movement, and then it becomes very difficult time for everyone. So we have well arranged, and with each one of them having a personalized care plan, I think the staff get it very easy to manage each one of them.
I find very interesting you touch on this starting the day well. I can imagine that sense of normality, of having a normal start of the day, or having breakfast and having something nice and a smile. That, I'm sure, just gives that purpose of that day if it starts well for people. And I can imagine how the impact of that might be immense. And I should imagine loneliness as well.
Yes, the main thing I think is to with the spark of life, generally you find if the staff are able to bring back that moment, that good moment every time, then you find everybody is calm. Everybody, if somebody goes to the garden and does something there, they will find them walking there, doing their work. So it's so open.
And it's interesting because that's important as well, is the mixture of a routine that gives some sense of normality and open to each person to have their own individuality, I'm sure is an important aspect of giving that quality of life at that stage.
Pardon, I didn't get the last part.
I'm saying that mixture of having a structure, but having the room for people to do the things as they want to do is what gives that quality of life, I should imagine.
Yes, because now then you're able to exploit their potential. You can imagine if somebody was a manager somewhere and they used to make sure everything is in order. So you must give them that opportunity so that maybe even they can put things back to the house in the evening. But if you lock them in, they will see a window open in another room and they will want to come out and go and close it. And then you are there assisting them or restraining them and not to go out and not to do this. So you're not able to experience their potentials.
It's true. It's true. Tell us, James, about the carers. What drives someone to join and become a carer? What kind of nature the carers bring to that environment?
Most carers, they need, number one, they need to associate or have a starting that is, have history. That's how I find it. And I agree that people are different, but once they have a proper learning environment for a unique program, I find most carers now, they are accepting that they have, it's not just a career like any other. They have to connect. They have to be compassionate. They have to be patient. So I think, and this cuts across in anything that you do, that you want it done well. It must be, you must love that thing that you want to do. But now with the additional qualities, you find that they want to associate more with us because they feel it's not just like any other training process. This has extra qualities that will determine their career and their future.
What I love about this story, James, is also your very, that very entrepreneurial mindset. There is that issue, you're going to solve it, you're going into action, you're going to create what needs to be created, and what comes your way, you will solve it again. It's not like you can oversee what the future will be, what the future will bring, because this is what it is, and tomorrow is another day. And you just figure it out, and that is that's real entrepreneurial mindset, what you need to do things like this. I can imagine that, for instance, universities in Kenya who are, in the medical department, that they are, on one hand supporting you because they know they have the medical knowledge about what is going on in there, in this brain, and but that they also are very anxious to know how you're doing this and what the results are. Is there any communication with institutions like that?
Yes, we have being one of the care facilities for the locals, I would say, and in the grassroots level. Most organizations, even the medical training college in Kenya, have, although in their model, I know they are focusing more on community level challenges, and they have been able to visit my place, and I've been able to offer them health talks on healthy aging and active aging and all that. So they are still, we are still lagging behind, but with the awareness and like these schools coming in, social responsibility from companies, huge companies coming to visit us, and then we offer them health talks for their social responsibility part. They feel they have something that they didn't know. They have something to take home. So as engaging such level of people, I think the word will go out very fast, and we will see more facilities coming out, more learning centers coming up, and things will be better than it has been.
James,
That is what,
sorry, Ingun. No,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, that is, of course, what you're working for, and maybe duplicate, if something works, we can duplicate it, all over the place, and that would really be great. I lost my question, Mary Jane. This happens, I'm not going to say this is the first sign, but it might be.
No, I got you off track. I'm sorry. I should have raised my hand.
It's okay. You go ahead. It will pop back in.
Okay. So what I'm curious, because while we've been talking here, I went out to find out. I went on your LinkedIn profile, James, and I'll connect with you there as well. But I went out to find out more about the Spark of Life. You mentioned your Spark of Life master practitioner, I think is how you worded it. And I thought, what is this Spark of Life? But this model, the Spark of Life model, which started, I think, from what I've just quickly read, started in Australia, but is in several countries now. So this growth that you're just referring to, Ingun, this spreading, I think it is. But what I read in one testimonial from, it really, you actually are seeing for many of the people that are living in these centers or within this model, that they actually have some cognitive improvement even, because they're, and I think you mentioned it, Tatiana, but it's the relationship building that's going on, the individual, the attention to what the individual needs, and not everybody gets treated the same, etc. This must create a difference in terms of how people will respond to the care that they're getting, and that impresses me. That it's at a level of compassion and caring that is typically not synonymous with facilities here, or even, in my home, I'm here being in the Netherlands, but my home country in Canada as well. I have a friend who is a social worker and spent a lot of years in nursing homes. And she said, I got so depressed because the walls were their babysitters. In other words, the wheelchair came out in the hall, they were propped against the wall, and the wall was their caregiver, At a certain time, the meals came around, something to drink came around, and for the rest, they were just left to vegetate, stagnate, And it sounds like this is a much more, I don't know, individual focused care. Am I
why do you think, Mary Jane, why do you think that this happens in other countries?
Well, I think, I also saw that there is the USA is mentioned, so and South America, so Australia, New Zealand, I saw African, a few African countries. Again, I think it's, James, it's maybe you can answer that. Why, what drew you to the Spark of Life? Why did you become a practitioner and bring this model into Kenya?
most of the things they come, and once you think about them, sometimes you wonder. But it's just like the way we are here, and we are talking, and then you learn about something, and you go and look for or read about it, and then you want to connect and network with people. During my early stages or my first few years running the care facility, I could see once people would come to the care facility and we are caring for them, they were becoming better. Somebody who was not eating from their house, the family is complaining. Once they come to my place, they start eating. So then the question was, what is happening here? So when I got into contact with the founder, Jane Verity, and Hilary Lee, who runs the Spark of Life program, I told them about these stories, and they said, James, we really relate with you, and we would like you to know more. So that's how I decided, let me do the master program course. And then I became a master practitioner. But igniting that spark is what really was challenging. So having a Spark of Life model, it opened my eyes even more that whatever I was doing was right. Mm-hmm. Like it was confirmation that, oh, this is really something that is natural and it can happen. That when you take care of someone with, you have time to do that, you have the environment to do it, you have people to do it, then you find everything change.
Mm-hmm. Is it labor intensive, James? I mean, for every certain number of people that are living in your home, do you have to have a lot of caregivers in relationship to?
Yes, but you find if you have if you have now the model that I'm using now, I think I have a better structured because I bring in so many people to work for us because I want the residents to have the best of everything. But with now the new model, I find now people who seemed to, let's say, for instance, somebody who was more active in the afternoon, now we are able to categorize them and be able to have a solution on how to take care of them. So then there is less monitoring, and there is so you're able to work well and efficiently. I think it's more of also the leadership skills, because the program also involves the leadership skill. So you find you're able to govern and have a more easy to run structure.
Mm-hmm. Can it also be, Mary Jane, and that is also for you question, you know, if you look, for instance, at the Dutch system here in the Netherlands, you know, everything has a price. So, you know, we have this complete structured system. And, you know, you can do that job in 2 minutes, that job in 5 minutes, that job in 7 minutes. If you use more time, it costs money. We don't have the money. Then we lock the people up in their room. It's, you know, it's we don't have the time to bathe them. We don't have the time to. So there's all these things that we have, all these protocols, we have the procedures, we have the time schedules, we have to do a lot of administration, you know, to write everything down, that what they've done and how they've done it. And there is no room for creativity. There is no room for humanity. I think that we lost something on the way, and we think we take care of them. But if you listen to what James is doing and what, well, at least what here in the Netherlands, what we are doing, I think we lost something on the way. And that part is humanity. And when I hear you and I hear James talk about the spark of life, and you want to have that sparkle back in someone's eye, you know, to see that they realize that they are alive and that they're, you know, alive and kicking, you know, I would almost say, because also the people, they are the average age in your home, in your center, James, you told me it's somewhere in their 80s. So people are relatively old, and the oldest one was 113.
Yeah.
People don't die of dementia, you know, they die of something else. So they need that joy of life to happen during their life. And what we do is, yes, we put them in that system, and that's what we have. And it's money. It's all about money, I think.
You know, I mean, the way our systems here are, the system is here, that if I were to end up in a nursing care facility because of dementia, I would want to kill myself. I would want to have the ability to kill myself first, you know? And to me, it's a horrible way to end your life, and an inhumane way to end your life. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a concept that I hope will spread further.
But I told James last week that is something that happened in our family when 66-year-old, my sister-in-law, decided that she didn't want to live on anymore because she was diagnosed with beginning dementia in the beginning 60s. And she didn't want to live this inhumane life, you know, maybe until way in their 80s or her 90s. So that is, I think what you're saying is absolutely right. Yeah. Tatiana, I see that you unmuted yourself.
No, I think we're touching on a lot of very, very important issues. And it shows that even when the system is in place and you have the walls there, like Mary Jane mentioned, we are far from delivering the ideal care.
Yeah.
And with the population aging, and then we had this conversation with Ashton here, it's not that we're having more people with dementia because more people develop dementia, but we have more older people, and therefore the likelihood we have more dementia patients and needs to provide more care, it increases. So there needs to be a shift of mindset, the same ways that we look after our children today much different than we used to, because we're more aware of the impact in their growing as they grow, but we have to be aware of the impact on the end of life as well, of not having that dignity of care. So I think it's quite philosophical in a way to think about those issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see Monica with a hand up. So Monica, we will invite you to follow up from me and join us in the conversation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Monica Kinyanjui.
Yeah.
A friend, a partner. We work together with James in Kenya. And sorry, I'm not going to, I don't know if you would like to see my video, my face. I'll let it out for a few times. And
good to see you.
Okay, yeah, we have this habit in Kenya of just being muted. Our videos are always off. Yes, my first time, I didn't know about it. I saw it on Facebook. I joined. And knowing that she was talking about dementia, I decided to join because I've been affected by dementia for the last more than 20 years. First, it was my mother, and then now it's I'm caring for the husband who has got dementia. And James has been, and his facility have been so much help to me in terms of when the time I have not taken Dad to his facilities, and we don't intend to because very few in Kenya, in Africa, are still yet to get to the idea of caring for our loved ones in facilities. We don't have a space for some facilities, but it's getting there because I don't think my children will want to care for me. They'll want to put me in a facility if I fell sick, if I needed care. So we are getting there, but we're not yet there. But it's good. James' home has gone ahead of us, and it's embracing and correcting what already you guys are saying, the inhumane part, and with this program called Spark of Life. And I know his facility has been of much great help. Like when I need a care is a go-to place I would go for. A care to come and relieve the cares I have, because to relieve the care I have, because right now I have to care for our dad. And so yes, indeed, yeah. And just listening to him speaking about Spark Care, I feel bad I've not been able to go to see his facility, and I intend to do that. James, hold me accountable, I shall be going. But I'll tell you more about myself. Being in the dementia space and how I got to know James is that I run an organization called Women for Dementia Africa. We are more into advocacy, getting policies out there, and raising awareness. We don't intend to we'll work together with those who start homes, but our agenda as our organization is to raise the voices of those living with dementia, because like globally they are forgotten. I remember there's a conference that has just gotten finished in the UK, Alzheimer's and Dementia International, and one of my colleagues, I sent her there to do a presentation, and I was listening online, and they say dementia is a Cinderella disease. Other diseases, even WHO look at other diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, cancer. So dementia is a Cinderella story, yet it affects all those diseases. There is a disease, like I say, if you have dementia, if you have dementia, if you have diabetes or blood pressure, you'll eventually end up with dementia. So it's just being able to mitigate the risk factors from early, like your lifestyle from early. Like now, as you say, I like this organization, Wize Move. Like, I mean, people over 50 and yet we are living longer. We have the education, even in Africa. There's a few who are educated. We are not as educated as the developed world. But we are coming there. We are going there. But we are there. And we, like, for me and the Jameses and those who have gone to school to the university level, we have this information, and we can be able to empower our people and be able to share that take care of your heart and take care of your brain. Do all sorts of your food habits, all those things, we are able to give that information. So our organization right now is doing more advocacy, more awareness, like raising awareness. Tomorrow we have a function that we'll be doing elderly abuse. It's very common globally. You are emotionally abused in homes during COVID times, all over globally. And like us, we do not have homes here. We don't have as many. And James is a pioneer. His home is a model. There's a lot of abuses, even globally. Italian, when I could read people who struggled, who died more, were dying when they were dying during COVID at home. So I hope I'm not taking a lot of your time. So tomorrow is globally is the World Elderly Abuse Day awareness. So for our organization, we're in such spaces to raise awareness about dementia. Mm-hmm. And because the cognitive of somebody with dementia is not there, you will be abused very easily. You will be denied food. If you don't cooperate, you'll be abused physically. So just raising those awareness out there, out there in the I work with urban settlements where it's a poor of the poor. I work with those, and one of the agendas for our organization is to raise awareness of how to use diapers. We've been doing diaper sales, and that is one of the things. So instead of talking the whole time, we can talk some more at a different forum, share some more. But I really attest to this work of James and home care. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful, Monica, and thank you for all the amazing work that you do, because it is important. And of course, politics and legislation and things like that, and the bigger picture is important, but we need also those people on the ground right now who do the job and who take the next step to take care of them. I'm watching the time, James and Tatiana, Mary Jane and Monica. We have a couple of, and I just have a couple of questions, James, to you. And we need short answers, just as short as possible. So what do you want to say right now to the families of people with dementia?
I would say that there is hope. They can come, reach out to us, and we will be able to engage them. And they can care for their loved ones, maybe with better skills. That's all I can say.
So what is it that you want to say to the government right now? The Kenyan government.
I would love to see them coming out and enacting the action plan for dementia, and also forge forward and support those people who are caring for dementia and the facilities.
Okay, and what do you want to say to those who do not have dementia yet, or the families? What do you want to tell them?
They can engage us in a level of training. They can always volunteer in our facility. It's a center of learning, demonstration, and also they will be able to play their role in the community, social health.
Okay, and now we'll turn it around. So you have one opportunity to ask one question to those who are listening, or the government, or you have one question. What would your question be?
My question.
What do you need?
Well, I would ask them to come out handy, because and stop labeling people, especially those who live with dementia. Reach out to us. And SJ Remedial Homes, we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are everywhere. You can always engage us, and we are ready to help. It's not too late.
Good, you keep on giving instead of asking, but that's okay. Mary Jane, your last comments on this conversation.
Oh, no last ones, just thank you, James. Thank you, Monica, as well, for sharing. And it's definitely food for thought.
Tatiana.
A very important topic. So thank you, James, and thank you, Monica, for joining us. and a good example of social entrepreneurship as well for a greater good. So yes, so a double learning here for our viewers. So thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. Monica, one last thing you would like to add?
Thank you, and thank you for this forum and this platform. And I'm over 50.
Good, so you can join us. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, James, for the amazing work that you're doing. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Yes, you give us a lot of, it is food for thought, absolutely. Very inspiring. Also, Monica, the work that you are doing, and I love to talk again, you know, outside of this, this session. Thank you all who are watching on Facebook and who will be watching the recordings. It is a glimpse of what we are doing, you know, in the Wize Move Society, to bring these people together, to show what is going on worldwide, and to learn from people like James. Of course, what he's doing for the people with dementia in Kenya, but his example of, you know, finding solutions for challenges that he sees, that that not just talk, but take the action. That is something that is really, that aligns with the Wize Move Society. So the link to our website will be under this recording. And well, we hope to see you soon. See you next week. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.